Hi there, welcome to Recap City. Today, I am going to share an Australian science fiction film titled 2067. Warning, spoilers ahead. Enjoy watching. The movie is set in the year 2067, the year when the world is totally destroyed because of climate change, and the reason for the extinction of all plant life. The loss of plant life on Earth exponentially decreases the amount of oxygen in the air. To survive, people have to buy oxygen. 99% of the world has gone dark and people suffocate to death. There is only one city in Australia that survives in this kind of environment. It is all because of a company that manufactures synthetic oxygen called Chronicorp. However, this artificial oxygen causes a fatal disease which they called the sickness over time. Because of this, humankind has only a few years before they become fully extinct. Ethan White is our protagonist and a resident of the Australian city. He works as a mechanic in Chronicorp together with his friend Jude. The corporation is working day and night to find a cure for the sickness and a way to save the world. Ethan works day and night for Xanda, his wife. He needs to buy her better oxygen because she is sick. One day, while working in the tunnel, Ethan and Jude are summoned to the office of Regina Jackson, the Chronicorp CTO of particle research. When they arrived, she introduces herself to them. She explains to them that if the conditions of the world do not change, humanity is going to die in a few years. She then reveals the reason why they called them. She tells them that Ethan is the only hope they have to save humanity. Ethan doesn't believe her, he is confused. Regina invites them to have a visit to their research lab. There is huge machinery in the laboratory. Billy Mitchell, the lab doctor, introduces himself to Ethan. He looks at Ethan's wrist for a second. They then explain to him that Dr. Richard White, Ethan's father, initiated this project 20 years ago. The huge machine is a time machine called Chronicle, created by his father. The first ever experiment done was sending radio waves into it to check what was on the other side of it. They found out that in the year 2474, 407 years later, the Earth would have enough vegetation to maintain enough oxygen in the air and sustain human life. They come to believe that if several hundred years later humanity still exists, it only means that they have found a solution to all the problems they're facing in their reality. However, the scientists there were baffled by the strange activity. The waves they sent on the other side came back reformed. After decoding it, they believed that someone from the future had sent them the message saying, "Send Ethan White." So now, they plan to send Ethan into the future to find and bring back the cure. Ethan doesn't know what to say. He doesn't believe them. She thinks that Regina is just bluffing. Moreover, he's thinking about his sick wife and doesn't want to live her to go to the future. So, he declines to help them. Later, Ethan and Jude went to a diner, where they buy crisp oxygen. Jude tries to convince Ethan to think about the plan because this might be the only way to help save humanity. However, Ethan laughs at him, saying that he doesn't want to be like his father. Ethan hates his father for never being there for him. 20 years ago, his father left home and went missing, while his mother was killed when he was a kid. Since then, he has been brought up by Jude, a man whom Ethan regards as his older brother as well as a best friend. He blames him for leaving his mother to complete the project and doesn't want to follow in his path and leave his sick wife. However, Jude manages to persuade him, saying that the only way he can save his wife is by finding a cure. Ethan reminisces of his 8th birthday when his father has bought him a strange box as a gift. As he puts his hands inside the box, a device latches onto his wrist, making him bleed. Richard had placed a permanent hand device on his son. It has been many years but Ethan doesn't know its use yet. Later at home, Ethan tells Xanda everything that happened during the day, and she too insists on him to go. The following morning, Ethan scribes, "I will find my way back to you," on a metal flower and leaves it beside Xanda. He then goes to Regina's office again and tells her that if he can find only one cure, they will have to give it first to Xanda. Regina accepts and takes him to the lab again. Dr. Mitchell shows him the suit that he has to wear before getting into the machine. As they begin to explain the mission to him, Ethan realizes that they do not have a plan. They have no clue what he will see, or who he will meet at the other end. However, after they put him in the suit, they give him an AI device called the Archie. Archie will show the lab Ethan's vitals at all times. It will also help to navigate his location. Then, they finally throw him into the machine. Inside, Ethan moves at high speed through time. He falls from the sky and lands in an unknown jungle. The friction from the air causes his suit to catch fire, so he quickly gets out of it. Then, he looks around and is astounded by the beauty of nature. He finds that the world has completely changed. The trees and the natural oxygen are back. He walks in the direction Archie directs him and sees a bunker door of some sort. But what catches his eyes is a skeleton that lies right in front of the door. Its skull has a bullet hole in it. Furthermore, he looks at the name tag on it and is horrified to see his name. The skeleton is Ethan's. Ethan also finds the skeleton's Archie and plays the last recording on it. He hears a man say that this is the only way and shoots Ethan. Just then, the device's power goes off. He is horrified, believing that this is the fate that awaits him. Then, he notices the skeleton's wrist device. It is identical to Ethan's, except the light glows green in the skeleton's device, but Ethan's has been red his whole life. That night, he lights a fire and eats wild berries. It turns out that the berries were poisonous. Ethan vomits and starts to go unconscious. Ethan wakes up after a while, and is surprised to see Jude in front of him. As it turns out, the lab saw Ethan's vitals dropping and assumed he was having a reaction to poison. So, they quickly sent Jude to the future, with the cure to save him. Sometime later, Ethan and Jude find that his skeleton remains there, which means his fate hasn't changed. They then use Archie to find another door. Some device scans Ethan's eye and grants them access. When they go in, a monitor welcomes him. It asks him for a DNA sample. When he accepts it, his wrist device begins to work, making him bleed. After the blood test, it goes green. The lights in the room turn on and they realize that they are in Chronicorp's lab, 407 years later. The time machine is in front of them too. Jude gets excited because now they have the means to go back to the past, but Ethan doesn't think so, saying they haven't changed anything, and he will end up dead, just like the dead Ethan. Ethan checks the system log and finds a holographic recording made by his father, who explains that the time machine was originally designed to collect the oxygen data on the future planet and then transmit it back to the past. However, when his father first started the time machine, he received a message asking him to send his son to the future. Despite his misgivings, he chose to do so and made a DNA verification here for Ethan. Soon, Ethan and Jude realize that the time machine won't be able to take them back because its battery has almost depleted after 407 years. What's worse is that the activation of the lab triggers a malfunction in its nuclear power core, threatening to unleash a nuclear explosion in just 4 hours. This means they have to find a way to fix the time machine and travel back before the explosion. Running out of time, they have to act quickly. Outside, they are surprised to find a ruined city covered with green plants, but inhabited by no humans, showing that the Earth starts to recover itself after human extinction. Human skeletons are scattered everywhere. Ethan gets to his wife's house, only to find her bones, making him fall into despair. Jude tries to persuade him to go back to the past, as the cure against the sickness doesn't seem to exist even in the future world. However, Jude's words make Ethan suspicious. He then turns on the rusty Archie to play the recording once again, from which he recognizes Jude's voice, and it seems Jude is exactly the one who shot him. Jude raises his gun at Ethan, strongly denying that he would shoot Ethan. Ethan finally decides to complete the mission first, so with joint efforts, they manage to repair the power core and then return to the lab. Now the Chronicle system works and they should be able to return to the past. They just need to wait 37 minutes till the portal launch. Once the countdown reaches 0, the portal will tether to 2067 for approximately 30 seconds. However, Ethan still finds his body remains behind a door at the same location, which implies that they haven't made any changes to the future. In order to figure out the truth, Ethan pulls out the battery of his current Archie and puts it onto the rusty one. In that way, he gets access to another video, in which Ethan is assured that his future self will be killed by Jude. Jude then confesses that there is no hope of changing the future and he is trying to protect Ethan. Finding it hard to believe, Ethan locks his brother up in a room, then plays back his father's holographic log from the day he died. He soon discovers a conversation between the Chronicorp CTO, Regina Jackson, and his father. It's shown that Ethan's father wanted to use the time machine to save all mankind by finding the cure, but the CTO only intended to use the machine to flee from the dying time with some chosen few. However, whichever plan they choose, someone must travel into the future and turn on the time machine. To safely send living matter through time, it requires an operational link from both sides in order to stop the CTO with her plan. His father locks the time machine and sets Ethan's DNA as the verification key. In anger at what Ethan's father just did, the CTO killed him immediately. She then orders Jude to kill Ethan's mother and be a guardian to him, so one day they can use Ethan's wristband to get access to the future. Ethan is beyond surprised. The man he thought of as his brother turned out to be the one who killed his mother and is about to kill him too. He also realizes that he has misunderstood his father, who didn't deliberately abandon the family. Knowing that Regina wants to bring chosen few into the future, Ethan tries to shut the time machine down, but Jude rushes to stop Ethan and reveals that he's tasked here by the CTO to ensure that Ethan is sent in time to repair the power failure. Once Ethan activates the time machine, he should kill Ethan. However, Jude has formed close emotional relations with Ethan over the years. Seeing his brother-like friend in that state, he is guilt-ridden. So, instead of shooting Ethan, he shoots himself dead. In rage and regret, Ethan is determined to fulfill his father's dying wish, which is to find the cure and save the dying humans. He looks into the monitor and finds the very first message written by his father. He deduces that the message, "Send Ethan White," was sent by himself. Hence, he codes in the message again and sends it into the past, along with many other things. Meanwhile, in the laboratory of the year 2067, the CTO with a group of privileged chosen people is waiting anxiously for the time machine to be activated. To their shock, however, the time machine sends back hundreds of extinct plants along with a copy of the recorded murder of Ethan's father. Soon after, the time machine is destroyed by Ethan, resulting in the collapse of the CTO's plan. In the end, the CTO is arrested due to the murder. The plants sent back to 2067 are cultivated to revitalize the planet. Ethan's wife also receives a flower sent from him and understands his choice. While Ethan has to stay in the future world alone, he buries Jude and forgives him. A butterfly catches his attention and leads him again to the same entrance, where Ethan is happy to notice that the corpse of his future self has gone. He rushes to take a look at the world outside and feels relieved to see a futuristic eco-friendly city, in contrast to the deserted one from earlier. His decision changed the future of mankind. Help us grow this channel. Subscribe for more videos every day, turn on notifications and leave a like and a comment. Thank you for watching. See you at the next one.